All right, guys, welcome to the Peak Mindset Show. My name is Matthew Park, and our aim is to inspire people to wake up in actualizing their true inner potential and learning the inner workings of our guests and how they became successful, what they had to overcome in achieving this, and how they can help you step your game to the next level. Our special guest today is a spiritual teacher, master healer, and all-around angelic badass. She is an energy medicine practitioner, quantum healing hypnosis therapy practitioner, and holistic kinesiologist who's a master coach helping fast-paced individuals in providing healing, peace of mind, clarity, and focus, along with hosting retreats all over the world, with her last retreat being held in Greece, an upcoming retreat coming up in Colorado. She's been on many paths, from filmmaking, the crazy corporate world of sales and marketing, to the 90-hour work weeks in life, and now being a master healer and spiritual badass. I want to welcome to the show Felicia Giouzelis.
Oh, thank you so much, Matthew. I'm so excited to be here today.
Well, you're kind of a unique guest because we never had a master healer before on our show.
That's amazing. Thank you. I'm happy to be the first.
So I'm excited to dive in and learn, obviously, about you and share a bit of your story in the beginning. And I just excited to share some of the insights and wisdom that you can teach our listeners in regards to everything around healing, which can be a very interesting topic to dive into. So share us a bit about your background, your story, and kind of why you got into healing.
Okay, so I never really was a big believer in healing. I would say I just didn't know anything about it, right? So one day I got invited to an angel healing circle. This was on January 1st, 2014. So just 3 years ago now. And I didn't want to go. I didn't really understand what it was all about. I didn't know what angel healing even meant, but something kept drawing me back to this invitation. There was this curiosity that I went, okay, let me just go and see. So when I walked in the door, it was just me and one other woman there, and the instructor who said she was going to lead us through a meditation to meet our angel. And I thought, this is ridiculous. I can't believe I spent money on this. Like, what am I doing here? Right? Just complete skeptic. But I also had some tact and I didn't want to be rude. So I just stayed there and went through the meditation. And it was instantaneous that I not only saw an angel that day, but heard him as well. And it was so mind-blowing, the experience, that I just, of course, your mind starts getting really powerful and going, that didn't really happen. This is not real. This doesn't exist. This is ridiculous. You made this all up, right? That was just a short version of what happened. But in the days following, I kept on hearing guidance. And it was very different than what was in my mind's voice, because our mind tells us things all the time about what we can and cannot achieve. It was different guidance than that. It was very loving. It was very supportive, something that I had not been used to hearing in my own brain, right? And so it was hard to deny. So that got me started on this path of just listening. That was how it all started. I just started to listen. I didn't really take action. I just started to hear what was coming through. A few months later, with this guidance, I got into, and that was, just to be specific, Archangel Michael that I had first heard. So he led me so that was in January with him. In May, he led me to the Akashic Records, which I had never heard of ever before I heard it from him. And I took this very brief training course on it. It was literally like a 3-page PDF that said, this is how you get into the Akashic Records. And it said what they were, and it didn't say anything about it. It said, just go into the Akashic Records and look around, ask some questions. And I thought, what? But I wanted to get certified through this course, so I did it. And I'll never forget that day, because I basically, for anyone that does energy work, right, usually you have very clear guidance on these are the rules, you go in and this is how things work here. Well, I didn't have any of that. So I basically like fell in the door of this energy space, and I did have a guide there that was helping me, but basically looked at me and said, "It's about time."
Interesting.
And I remember in that moment having this feeling of, I belong here.
Wow.
This is what I've been looking for.
Huh.
And without him even saying that, I just felt very welcome, like this is where I was supposed to be. And I've been working there ever since.
Well, here's something that I want people to listen to know that about you before they judge you is that most people think healers are like it's spacey, it's weird, it's strange. Your background comes from corporate and
Yes.
filmmaking and the crazy 90-hour work week. So basically, what almost everybody's already in, and you had that for probably years, didn't you?
Oh yeah, my up until 3 years ago.
So, you've been doing that almost all your life. So, and you obviously have a lot of challenges that you've gone through the last 3 years in building your business. And now you're like, a sought after coach. You're so busy with what you're doing. So talk to us on, I guess, what do you think was the main reason you got into healing?
Before even going to this angel healing circle, I throughout my life have gone through depression
Mm,
in really extreme ways. I was never happy, never fulfilled with anything. No matter what I did, I could not find happiness. And the more that I looked externally, the more unhappy I was.
wow.
And along with that, I was very ill. So I always tell people I was basically born sick. I had three eye surgeries as a child. Uh,
Wow.
like I think my first one was before I was even 3 years old, eye surgery to straighten what they call a wandering eye, lazy eye is the proper term. And so I've been just sickly my whole life. And I had done everything right. I had, right by medical terms, right? I had done everything right. There was nothing weird about it, but the sicker I got. And so, right before I went to this angel healing circle, I had quit my job a few months earlier in September. And this angel healing circle was in January. And I was on a quest at this point. I quit my job. I had no other job to replace it. And I didn't care because I had gotten so burnt out. It was either quit for my mental sanity or go completely insane and not be able to work at all. That was how extreme it felt to me,
Wow.
that I had to quit. I had to make the choice for me. And I didn't know where I was going to go or what I was going to do. But you get to that fed up point where you just don't care anymore. And that's where I had gone.
Wow. So a lot of turning points for you in your life that you just went through a lot of, I guess, normal states, not normal, but things that people deal with almost every day.
Yes.
Wow. So now do you deal with how do you deal with those now? Like have you overcome all of those now?
I don't want to say that I've overcome forever because we all experience challenges that come up
Yeah.
at different points in our lives. But as far as the being sick, I have not been sick in I can't even tell you how long. This started before I was on the spiritual path,
Wow.
long before. So I had already started. I'm someone who really believes in spiritual healing. So I've separated myself almost entirely from anything medicine related.
Wow.
So I won't take any pills, any medications. I might do natural supplements if I really need it, but mostly I'm healing through food.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I never get sick. Never. Not even a common cold.
N-
So I started that long before the angel work.
Is your wandering eye fixed?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and that was right before getting on the spiritual path as well. So, what I did with that is I changed my diet. That's all I did. And I'm not saying that's like the cure for everyone, but I was eating a lot of processed foods. And I was in really good shape back then, but I was eating a lot of processed foods and having to counteract it by working out a lot to counteract this horrible diet that I had, right? So I was in shape, but I wouldn't say that I was healthy.
Okay.
So all I did with the with the wandering eye was I at this time, I never ate any, and it's funny because now I'm a vegan, but back then I didn't eat a lot of fruits and vegetables at
Wow.
all. It was mostly processed. So I took all processed foods out of my diet.
Okay.
And and I wouldn't even say I did that many vegetables, but I ate probably 80% fruit at this time. And what happened at that point, I would say 2 months after this started, I had to go to the eye doctor because I was driving on the freeway and I couldn't see the freeway signs at a distance anymore. And I thought, oh, great, I need a new prescription. Well, lo and behold, I went to the eye doctor and he goes, you don't need glasses anymore.
No way.
And I went, what do you mean? And he had to explain it to me like two more times because I went, but I've been like this my entire life.
Yeah.
What do you mean I don't need glasses anymore or contacts? He even said contacts. And so my vision went 20/20, but I had this freak out moment because my eye was still not fully straight. And the doctor looks at me and he goes, the prescription that you had before was not straightening your eye. You know that, right? And
Wow.
I went, no, of course it was straightening my eye. So it was that moment that I went, this is mind over matter.
Interesting.
It was a totally mind-blowing thing when he said it to me because I thought this entire time that the glasses were the ones keeping my eye straight, and it wasn't.
No way.
So after that, it was more like, okay, this is up to me now. So between diet and mind, my eyes are straight now.
Interesting.
And my eye used to go all the way in, like all the way in.
I want you to go back to coaching for a second. When you work with clients and you're working with obviously probably corporate clients, fast-paced people, I'm kind of assuming, correct?
Yeah, they own their own businesses. So I work with a lot of healers, a lot of health coaches.
Okay.
And I have just a few clients that work for other people.
Okay. So when these clients come to you, what are their typical like main problems and challenges they're going through?
Financial.
Okay.
Energetic. So maybe they're procrastinating. They don't have the motivation to get things done.
Okay.
I have a lot of clients that feel very lost.
Yep.
They're wanting to be on path, that fulfillment that you feel when you're helping other people.
Yep.
You want to feel fulfilled and be of service at the same time. I have a lot of clients going through that right now.
Okay.
I do get the clients looking for relationship insight,
Yep.
wanting to find out, should I stay or should I go? Or is this person, but I would say that's more of like a side question that they ask. It's almost never about the relationship, right? It's about the relationship with yourself. So we're always going to bring it back to what's going on inside for the person. So if I had to break it down to one thing, it's usually clients that are feeling like they're not on track.
So when clients come to you that are on track, are you meaning emotionally, internally, spiritually? They're just focused, like you said in the beginning of the episode, more on the external.
They don't know. They're coming to me because they're not connected to that true root cause of why they're off track. So what they're bringing to me is external. It's this person, or this is going on in my life that's affecting me. And my job is to go, hold on, let's bring it back, because it's actually, this is the root cause. So that's where we start to look at that.
How do you bring it back? How do you shift, how do you shift from the external to the internal? What's sort of a simple idea for your process?
Well, I work with the Akashic Records. So is it okay to explain just what those are for anybody who hasn't?
Definitely. Please go ahead.
So this is the energy space where your soul has stored its plan for this lifetime. So when our souls are created, we're created at the same time with a soul book. So I can look at that soul book, which is stored in the Akashic Records, which is the universe's library. So it's like going to the library here and checking out a book, except for it's your soul book. So that's what I'm using when I'm talking to people. And I'm only looking at what they've already decided or the path that they're walking. That's all I'm doing. I'm looking back at that and I'm going, okay, they may feel off track, but they're They're actually where they need to be. So in order to bring peace to the client and help them get on track, they have to understand why something is happening. That's for the
Mm,
mind.
okay.
The mind wants to know why. It's the one asking all these questions. So if I can get them on track with that, of telling them why, where this came from, how it came to be, and then I can draw comparisons in other situations that are happening in their lives, which I do just intuitively.
Okay.
So they might come to me with one issue, let's say about a spouse, and I'll look at them and go, well, but didn't this actually happen with your father back
Oh, okay.
back around this age? And they go, well, yeah. And right there in that moment, that's when it shifts
Interesting.
because they get it. They get that this is a repeating pattern.
Okay. Okay. So is it like aligned with understanding your why or your vision, or is that also digging into beliefs as well? Past beliefs?
It depends on the issue. Um, let's say if it's about a relationship, somebody's coming to me and going, I'm in this relationship. And let's say I look back and I go, well, yeah, you've been in relationships like this throughout many lifetimes. And are you tired of it yet? So
Ah.
I'll ask a question like that. And I ask that not because I don't know the answer, but because they have to decide.
Mm,
So once they decide, then I can shift the energy. So even like we're doing right now, I'm just having a conversation with my clients and going, this is where it came from. Do you want it to change? Once it changes, there's healing work that I can do with the Akashic records to shift the pattern.
okay.
And what will happen is here in this body, the energy will just go away. And I'll ask my clients 5 minutes later, what did I just shift? And they won't be able to tell me
Oh, wow.
because it's gone.
Wow.
So that's why I record my sessions as well,
Interesting.
because and I call it deleting. Like I'll delete the energy, just like deleting a word out of a Word document. And I'm not deleting something that's true. I'm deleting something that my client believes that's an illusion. It's a story they have told themselves that is not real.
Mm.
And because it's an illusion, it can be deleted and shifted. And that's why they don't remember it.
So are you saying that you uncover the illusion and then help them get rid of this old story, and then do you reprogram a new one?
I bring a new one, I'll replace a new belief. And I'm asking the Akashic records, I'm asking their soul or their soul book, what's the new belief? So it's
Ah.
not like I'm programming in what I think you need. It's not about me. So I'm asking their soul, their spirit, or the Akashic records what they need, and we're bringing that energy in. And that's when the transformation happens.
How does money work then? So looking at money and money beliefs, because obviously there's probably people coming to you that have lack of money, struggling with money. How do you deal with that?
Same process.
Okay.
I'm going to look and see what the root cause of this issue is that they're having. So I've had clients, I can't tell you how many clients I've had that had a lot of religion-based lifetimes where they thought that if you're a priest or a nun, right? You're going to be of service and just do it out of the goodness of your heart and not get paid for it.
Right.
So I can't tell you hundreds of clients that I've seen with this. So I go back and ask the Akashic records, what's the root cause? So they may have had this throughout 100 lifetimes, but I need to go back to number one.
Hmm.
I'll go back to number one. We'll see what the belief is. I'll clear it with the process that I go through. We'll clear that and it'll start to manifest in this lifetime. So
Ah.
clearing at the root cause will clear it every time it's happened since then.
So if someone comes to you who has a who's struggling with money all the time, maybe their whole lifetime has been a struggle with money. What you're telling me is that it goes back lifetimes.
It may, yes. It
Okay.
may have also started in this lifetime, but typically when it's something that they've struggled with throughout this entire lifetime, you would think as a child they're probably not manifesting or creating a money block, right? If they're a
Hmm.
newborn. So it's pretty likely they've brought it in from another lifetime. But either way, we remain open during the session to see because everybody's different. It could be a past life or it could have been like sometimes our parents have very strong beliefs, and even as children we're sponges, we're listening and we're picking up on our parents' beliefs. So it's my job to just stay open and see where it's coming from.
So how do you reprogram a money belief that comes to you from a client that's struggling, and maybe you identify that the parents, gave them some bad conditioning? And so, what's your process of getting rid of, like, say that you identified the old belief, it was the parents. Now, what do you do to reprogram them?
Sometimes I have to do, if the parents have crossed over, um, it's easier because I can work with with the souls
Okay.
to bring about an understanding. So when I'm talking to a person just like we are, right? I'm here, but I'm actually working with the energy in the Akashic record, so I'm away at the same time.
Okay.
So the work with the souls has to be based in forgiveness.
Oh,
So
interesting.
yeah, so that's the number one way that I'm going to clear anything is my client willing to forgive themselves for what has taken place? And
Okay.
are they willing to forgive the other people that were involved? Now, this can get tricky if it's in a past lifetime because my client may not remember as I'm talking to them right now. But I tell them the story, the background. I do it very quickly. Listen, this is what happened. This is why. This is what you were learning from it.
Yeah.
And once they get that understanding, I've never had a client, maybe I've had one actually, say, well, I don't want to forgive. And so, but usually my clients say, okay, yeah, it's a past lifetime. I don't want to deal with this anymore. So I'm willing to let it go. Once they say that, we can clear the energy away.
Okay, so say for example they've forgiven, they've
Yeah,
gone the process, they've let things go. Do you give
right.
them a set of habits or new things that they can instill into their subconscious to reprogram stuff? Like what would you suggest somebody listening that they're at that stage where they have forgiven, they've tried what you've just said, but now what's next?
I get suggestions from the Akashic Records, but that's only one part. I also tell them what they're going to experience. That's the most powerful part.
Okay.
So that's the way I'm reprogramming, is I'm telling them this is how this is going to look in your life going forward. So I don't ask, I tell
Okay.
what I'm seeing. So that way it also gets them intention wise from the soul's guidance coming in and going, this is how this is going to look.
Okay.
And then the second part is if there are things that they in their body need to actually do, like create a new routine or a new ritual, I get that guidance as well. And I tell them, this is the recommendation. Of course, people have free will, so they may or may not stick with it. But usually, unless I just attract the most amazing clients, usually they're going, okay, I hear you and I'm going to do it.
What's a common ritual you find that comes out of that process for money blocks that you would typically give a client?
That's a great question. For money blocks, I would say one of the most common ones I see is creating a budget
Oh, okay. Interesting.
because people don't, I see a lot of what I call money leaks. Like people are leaking money and they don't know where or how. So that's one of the things that usually comes through is, okay, we can work on your money blocks, but you need to take action and actually set up a course here for being successful. And one of the first ways to do that is create a budget. I've also received guidance for people before to hire a financial advisor. I haven't seen that a lot, but I've seen it here and there. Hire somebody that can tell them where their money's going
Wow.
and help them create this. So some clients won't sit down and create a budget. And when I have seen that, a financial advisor comes in, someone that can help them. And I know for a fact the couple people that I suggested that to did hire somebody.
Now, what about this? What about if a client comes to you and their issue is they're just programmed to not really feel like they deserve money or they deserve wealth and riches and all that good stuff. So, what would you give them? And say they've forgiven their parents or their past for this process, and they've understood that. But now they're on the step of where maybe you've looked at the records, or you give them a routine or a suggestion. Maybe it's a reprogramming technique that you use. What would you suggest to them for something like that? I'm really going deep on you.
No, it's a good question. Um, that's a self-worth issue.
Okay.
For most people. And again, everybody's different. But when I've seen that, and I see it a lot, it's usually a self-worth issue. So on some level, they don't believe that they deserve whatever it is. We also have other issues that come into play, like spiritual alignment. So somebody might be saying, somebody may have this intention of creating $1 million in their business this month. This year, this month, that would be amazing. This year, right? But maybe last year they did like 100,000. Okay. So 100,000 to $1 million, that's a really big jump. So I think a lot of people don't understand that our energy has to jump to that point too. So you have to make sure energy wise that you're actually resonating with that $1 million. Once you set the intention, your energy starts working towards that. Guaranteed that happens. But it doesn't happen on our time frame all the time. So we have to resonate with the energy, first of all, and then start working towards it. This is where our journey comes into place. So I went a little around the corner with answering your question, but it's my job to help people understand the timeline that's aligned with their soul's journey. Because we have free will all day long, but we can't shift divine timing. That's a universal law. So we have to work towards it and then understand that each step is getting us closer to it and keep taking action.
That's so cool. So you're saying self-worth is one of the big ones around that. Okay.
Right.
Interesting. So, okay, if someone was making $100,000 a year and they set a goal of $1 million for the year in their business model, so it's quite a shift, like you said. So,
right.
If they follow like what you're saying and their energy starts to shift and gradually increase, what if all of a sudden, they're increasing over a couple of weeks, but all of a sudden they feel like it's going too fast and they want to sabotage it? Or bring it back down? Do you get clients that like they're going, but all of a sudden they come back to you and say, "Well, Felicia, now I'm back to square one again"?
Yeah, I always get clients that are great at sabotaging. So sabotage takes on a lot of forms. They may just not be calling people back that are trying to interview them, or they may be not doing anything at all and saying, I have a block on procrastination. And I look at them and go, that's not a block. That's a block on free will.
Wow. Interesting.
So they're just back to it. It's like my job is to call people out basically on, no, this is actually your block.
Cool.
And to help them shift the energy again. And I do it differently with everybody. It depends on what the issue is. But if they're sabotaging, which is very common when you're first working on self-worth, because the mind wants to keep us safe. So the mind wants to say, okay, well, that's new and I don't know what that looks like. So let's just stay right here because we know what this is like. This is the old thing we've always done before. We know what to expect. We have to work past that. And it's basically helping the client feel safe. And that's baby steps with some clients. And I have some clients that will just go, okay, I'm going to do it. And they'll jump in both feet and do it. And I have other clients that go, I need to work towards that. So it's all about what the client needs. And if I see a big step, then I know the client's ready for that. And if I see a baby step, then okay. But essentially with energy work, and this is with any healer, We're just standing there and showing you what's possible in your own energy. And truly, our mind is the only thing holding us back. It is safe to take the jump. And my suggestion to people is to stop and ask yourself, what's the worst thing that can happen?
Oh, interesting.
It's never as bad as we make it out to be in our minds, these stories that we're creating that haven't happened yet.
Interesting. So it sounds like we're almost self-sabotaging ourselves on our own with our almost like our old stories.
Absolutely.
Huh. Interesting.
Absolutely.
So now
Yeah.
if a client of yours is all of a sudden gradually increasing, in their financial growth in their business model, and they're making some big strides, like when you first tell them that, do you like say, okay, the name is John, okay? Hey John, you're going to, now you've understood forgiveness, now you moved on to more self-worth. I want you to work on this. What things do you specifically maybe like one or two things you would tell them? Would it be a daily ritual you'd give them, or a daily habit change, or journaling, meditation? What things do you typically tell people to work on that shift and keep the shift going in an uphill battle, or sorry, uphill climb, but when the block happens, they can still overcome that?
That's a great question. I will shift them into meditation typically, or some people aren't really into meditation, so I suggest spending time out in nature, whether it's going for a walk or going and sitting on a park bench. Just go and do that and be by yourself. There are other people, maybe this is something you resonate with, they get to this place and working out. So, whatever is going to get you to this place of feeling peaceful and centered, where you can come back and realize that it's not all as bad as I'm making it. It's just about getting that heightened, because when we're reacting like that or in this place of sabotage, it's because we're not centered anymore.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, cool.
yeah, yeah. So the mind is starting to take control. So how do we combat that? We don't really fight it, but we come back to center, back
Wow.
to, hold on, where's my point of peace, where I feel really good.
So are you saying that it's so important to keep those centered, like, rituals that you're talking about, the meditation, nature walking, working out, whatever they're going to be, keep those rituals every day? Are you saying then to make sure that they don't fall into that path?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's also about presence, though. It's about knowing that you're going to fall off the wagon. You're going to fall off the path. It's about how quickly do you come back from that.
Wow.
It's not about not falling off. It's about seeing it, not judging yourself, but witnessing it from outside of yourself and going, interesting, I've fallen off here. I need to come back to center. And
Cool.
then having these rituals in place that you know work for you and coming back to that.
Wow. So these rituals, are you suggesting them in the morning, nighttime, or whenever they have time to do them, basically?
I think it's good to have a solid schedule that you stick to, because if you don't stick to it, it's like saying other things are more important than my self-care. And so I think it's really important to have a ritual that you stick to and be realistic. Don't set up an hour for yourself if you know that you realistically can only do 20 minutes. It's like the people that say, I want to meditate 2 hours a day, 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour at night, but they don't even get 5 minutes a day done. So be realistic. If you know you can commit to 5 minutes for now, then commit to 5 minutes. And then when you can do more, go ahead and add more into the schedule.
Wow. So powerful. That is amazing tips. I got to say thank you for diving in deep on money blocks and self-worth. Those are two of probably the biggest things I know even I deal with sometimes in my life, and I know listeners probably deal with in their lives. So huge wins there. Thank you, Felicia, so
Oh,
much.
thank you.
The peak 5 questions, and we're going to run into those now, okay? So the peak
Sure.
5 questions for you. Number 1 is there someone in your life, in your past, present, right now, that was a big influence, maybe a mentor or a coach in your life?
I have two colleagues that are also friends one male, one female, that I run to for very different reasons, but also very similar reasons. They both give me very non-judgmental reality slaps. So, which I need because I work in the universe so much. So their energy is very grounding. And um, having a masculine presence energy and a feminine presence energy has been great for balance. So, my one mentor's name is Michael, my other mentor, and I call her my matriarch, is Abby. And so these are the people that I run to when I feel that guidance outside of myself is necessary to get me back in balance.
I want to go back to a question I never asked you before, and I just feel right now is the right time to ask you. Okay, so with healing, because obviously, you've had a pretty unique beginning in the corporate life, beginning in filmmaking, like the normal, I guess, fast-paced lifestyle that people go through. Now you're a healer. So what was one big challenge you had to overcome in your life that you really took you like for a spin, and you came back and you really you won the battle, and you really learned from the experience? And what was the lesson you learned in that?
Gosh, there's so many good lessons to choose from. Try to pick my biggest one. Um, I'm gonna share one that I feel has been repeating throughout my whole life, and it's finally transitioning out the last few months. But that's codependency and needing other people to validate me as a human being, uh, as far as who I am and what I deserve. So instead of knowing that and having that high self-worth, I would always look to other people in relationships, my parents, my brother, friends. And when they didn't mirror back to me what I needed to hear, I was completely crushed. Crushed. My life was just over. So this last year has been the time of knowing that I have what it takes, learning who I am, and getting myself on a course where not that I don't need other people, but I don't need outside validation. So
Interesting.
codependency and validation, that's been a big lifelong lesson. Knowing that it's okay to depend on other people, but it's okay to depend on me too. I'm strong enough.
So what do you do daily to make sure that you keep conditioned in a capacity where you almost validate yourself? You feel that worth without having to go to other people, even though you say it's still okay, but you feel that you're there.
Other than daily meditation, which I do not miss, I do every morning, I focus on when a challenge comes up. That is what I will take back into meditation. So outside of my ritual times, if I'm in a negative space or I'm realizing that something's happening and I feel like I'm out of control, I will get centered enough to take it into meditation, and I will sit there until I remember a time when I've dealt with this before.
Wow.
Or something similar and have overcome it and how I did it.
Huh.
So that's what I use, because we're all sort of repeating things here. It may be wearing a different set of clothes, but it's the same situation. So I just go back to a time when I felt this same way. And it's usually this out of control. I'm not able to control what's happening right now. We start to spin out. I'll take it back into meditation, or I'll take it for a walk, or sometimes I'll put it aside for a day or two and go, I'm not going to deal with this yet because I don't know what to do.
Wow.
But when I feel centered enough, I'll take it and I'll remember. And I literally will sit there as long as it takes to remember that I've done this before and I've overcome it. And I'm going to overcome this as well.
Interesting. That's a really valuable tool. Wow. Huge. Number 2 on the question of the Peak 5, Felicia. So what was a book that was highly influential in your life?
I was thinking about this earlier, and I would have to say The Writer's Journey. And it's actually a book on screenwriting. But I've been trained as a documentary filmmaker before I got into healing. And as I'm on this spiritual journey now, I cannot believe how much movies mirror our lives. It's shocking.
Interesting.
It's shocking. And this book has helped me connect the dots between my earth journey
Yep.
that I'm walking right now and my spiritual journey. This book is what helped me connect those dots. And I'm still learning, but that book has really had a profound impact on my life now.
Interesting. Number 3, what was your most influential quote that you would say in your life right now?
Dream bigger.
Okay. Dream bigger. Love it. Number 4, if you could tell your 20-year-old self one lesson, and what's also, mention your age if you don't mind, what would that lesson be?
I'm 36 years old now. If I could tell my 20-year-old self something, I would say, calm down. Calm down. I think we try to figure everything out
Yeah.
up front, and things always change. Change is constant, the only constant, right? So just calm down and take it one day at a time.
Number 5, if there were no limits in the world, what would you contribute to?
I would create free hospitals that brought together all types of medicine, including energy medicine, where people could come and live on site as well if they needed extended treatments. That's my big
Love
life
it.
goal.
Is there anything that we haven't covered that maybe you want to share before we jump into a little more about you?
I'd love to let people know that although this type of work that I do sounds airy-fairy, that's a term we use, right? Spirit
Yeah.
work. Anybody can connect to their intuition. And whether you use angels or Akashic records or do it in meditation or whatever it is, it's irrelevant. We've all been blessed with the same gifts. I'm not doing anything special that you can't do. So it's just about the willingness to want to receive answers that are in alignment with you and who you are as a soul, your true essence. And if you have that intention, you can absolutely do it.
Are you saying, Felicia, that the connection more to the heart as the intuition as opposed to the head?
Absolutely. And the gut,
Okay.
the heart and the gut, those are the two that talk very loudly. And it can even be done in meditation. It can be done through visioning. The point is, when someone is ready to connect in that way, the teacher will appear. So it's just about being willing to explore other ways to connect. And then if you're willing, the person will show up that can help you with it.
That's huge. That's so awesome, guys. Felicia is truly a unique healer. I got to say, this episode took on different turns even I thought was going to go into in this course. So thank you, Felicia, so much. Where can they find you online?
Thank you, Matthew. I absolutely loved this today. It was so amazing. I can be found on FeliciaMarieG.com. Same on Facebook, Felicia Giouzelis. And I'm on Twitter. It's all the same names. But you can connect with me everywhere through the website, FeliciaMarieG.com.
And you have a retreat coming up in Colorado, correct?
I do. It's called the Soul Story Retreat, where I'm actually helping people connect to the story I've been talking about. So we're going to map out what you've been through up until this date and what you can expect, kind of like a movie. We're mapping out your own personal movie in one weekend, what you can expect coming up. And I'm going to give everyone the tools as well. When challenges do come up, what are you going to do to deal with it?
So your retreats, are they happening once a year, twice a year? How often do they happen?
This is my second retreat in the past 6 months. I don't have a solid schedule for them yet. As I receive guidance, I put it out there, but I give at least 6 or 7 months notice on any retreat. So I'm hoping to do at least 1 or 2 more in 2017.
Well, that's awesome, guys. Well, follow her on Facebook. Follow her on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well.
Yes.
Fantastic, guys. All the show notes will also have her information as well for Felicia. So, guys, check her out in the show notes for any links to her website and also any information for the podcast episode to share it with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, guys. So thank you so much, Felicia, for being on this show. We really appreciate having you. And, guys, wishing everybody here an absolutely epic day.